set my heart afire.
Hey, Shellsponge here, welcome back to another video. Today we're doing a tank review. Tank reviews on the first British wheeled vehicle that will be coming into the game. Now, I nearly said French there, but just keep in mind, this is not French, this is British. So this is the G-Saw 1010 or 1010. So, as I said, it's the first British, but it is not the first wheeled. There is a few things that we're going to cover on this video. Unfortunately, I do not have a replay as is, because I haven't received any and I'm not a community contributor. I'm just doing a preview on the tank and in the garage that's in the game. Anyway, let's head over to the trusty tanks.gg site and have a look at the statistics. Okay, here we are on the tanks.gg. So, I'll be covering everything here. Just bear in mind, this is with just 100% crew and none of the field mods unlocked either. Okay? So, first off, weaponry. You'll notice that it's got 1,808 DPM. It's got 360 average damage. It's got 200mm penetration on its standard rounds. On its premium rounds, which is APCR, that goes up to 252mm. Reload time is at 11.94 seconds. Rate of fire is at 5.02 rounds per minute. Aim time is 1.92. Dispersion 0.32, which is not bad. So overall, the weaponry, this side of things is not too bad. Definitely, I can see definitely the gun kind of working here. Not a bad penetration. Does hit hard for a I only said light tank. This is actually a medium tank. So it doesn't have the special stuff that the light tanks get. But we'll talk about that later on in the video. Okay, so where are we up to? So it's got a 105mm caliber gun. It's got a 920 meters per second shell velocity on its standard rounds, but on its premium rounds that goes up to 1250. So you don't really have to aim much at all, give much lead, which is quite nice. Top speed and the mobility, it goes up to 60 kilometers an hour forward, 30 backwards. It's got a 450 horsepower. It's 23.68 power to weight ratio. Ground resistances, they are actually a big deal in this tank. So 29.73 on hard, 26.01 on medium, 14.86 on soft. Gun elevation, 16 degrees, and gun depression is 8 degrees. It's got a full 180 degree turret. Alright, the hull armor. So it's got 60 mils at the front, 30 on the side, 15 at the rear. It's got, on the turret, it's got 60 at the front, 30 on the side, 20 on the rear. It's got 1200 HP. And the view range has got 380 meters base view range. Okay, so I'll probably recommend maybe taking some coated optics just to try and max out that vision a little bit. So just looking at like the armor, you cannot really rely on the armor, so it's definitely a standard medium, but you just have to shoot, fall back. You can't try and take any shells and whatnot. And also, just to keep in mind, this tank does not have a speed mode or anything like that. So this here is its speed. It doesn't have that speed mode where, say for instance, the EBR 75, it can go up to, if I'm right, 90 kilometers an hour in that speed mode, but Yeah, another thing I'm noticing as well, because I have actually seen a replay, but I don't have a replay to feature because it's not Ace Tanker. It's just a standard, typical gameplay, just to see how the tank looks. From everything that I've noticed, its mobility is not exactly great. So it does take a while to get up to the 60 kilometers an hour, and turning around, like turning the tank. Vehicle, however you guys want to say it, because it is wheeled. It's a wheeled tank, wheeled vehicle. It does take a long time to turn around and get going if you've got to run away. So make sure you give enough time so you can actually escape from your position if you need to. Or if you need to get into a position quickly, give yourself enough time to get there, because it doesn't get to that 60 kilometers an hour speed quite as quick as you expect. Believe me, it got me too. Alright, let's head over to the comparison. In the comparison, I compared it with the Lynx 6x6. So these here are the French wheeled. Yeah, French wheeled. I had to correct myself there. And the EBR Hotchkiss is the tier 7, so keep in mind, and these are light tanks. So these get to keep their camo rating when moving, whereas the medium doesn't, okay? So, in the comparison, as we mentioned before, the DPM 1808, that has a better DPM than the Lynx, but slightly worse than the EBR. It has a significantly better DPM than the Hotchkiss. Penetration on its rounds, higher penetration than anything in this comparison. I kind of understand about the 1/6 in the Hotchkiss, but it is still quite low for the tier 7, especially when you can make tier 9 tanks in that thing. Damage per round, so 360. It's a lot better than anything in the comparison here, but the rate of fire, this is where unfortunately the gun does lackluster a little bit. So 5.02 compared to the Lynx, which does fire one shell at a time. It doesn't have a clip size like the EBR 75, 7.29. EBR 75 is 10.91, and the Hotchkiss does actually fire quicker than the G-Saw at 9.38. So that's where the damage, or not the penetration, the damage here, 170. That's where you can rack up more DPM quicker than the G-Saw can. I'm not going to go into clip size, but remember the EBR 75 does have a clip size at 2, and it has a 1.5 second inch clip. Caliber, it's a bigger caliber than any gun in this comparison. Shell velocity, it has slightly worse shell velocity on all these tanks, but if I'm correct, both these tanks have APCR as standard. Yes, they sure do. And that one, yeah, they both have APCR as standard, so that's kind of expected with the higher shell velocity. Ammo capacities, those carry 50 rounds. The Lynx 38, CBR 75, 56, and the Hotchkiss 60. So you can run out of rounds in this thing, but I honestly can't see it happening anytime soon, as you do 18,000 potential damage if you do an average of 360 every shell you fire. Aim time 1.92, which is slightly worse than everything in this comparison. Dispersion is better than everything in this comparison. The gun depression is the same as the Lynx and the EBR, but slightly worse than the Hotchkiss, as it has 10 degrees of gun depression. Speed, it has the same speed as the EBR 75. The Lynx does 58 and the Hotchkiss does 70. So the reason why I actually done the Hotchkiss is for this reason. The Hotchkiss doesn't have the speed mode, whereas the other two tanks. So the fact is that the Hotchkiss can go 70 at tier 7, and that's its standard rate. It can't go into the speed mode like these two tanks can. So if I do that, go into here, update tank, go to that, ability. See, now the Lynx can go up to 80, and the EBR can go up to 80. So That's the downside of the G-Saw. That's what I mean a little bit about the mobility. You can't really rely on that side of things. Engine power is 450. It's better than the Lynx, but worse than the EBR and the Hotchkiss. The power to weight 23.68. It's worse than everything in this comparison, as it's 34.71 and 35.35. Ground resistances, again, it is worse than everything in this comparison. Just there's a lot of green here. Honestly, I feel like I'm better off playing the Lynx or the EBR, or even go back down a tier and play a Hotchkiss. Like, I'm highly disappointed about the mobility side of things, especially being a wheeled vehicle as such. Armor, it does have better armor than the other two vehicles, or the other three vehicles, my apologies, but remember, this thing is a medium tank and this is a light tank. View range, view range is 380. That is better than, surprisingly, the light tanks, so you can actually spot in this vehicle, whereas the light tanks you can't really. You have to go really close to the enemy to actually be able to spot them, whereas the G-Saw, you can spot them at range. So this is something Wargaming has actually balanced here, is the view range, where you can actually keep these your tanks out of range and still spot them, whereas you can't with the other three vehicles here. Camo, so like I said, the light tanks get to keep their camo when moving and stationary. So 18.81, 19.66 and 17.78, they have better camo than what the G-Saw does, and the G-Saw stationary is 13.39, and while it's moving is 10.03. Let's head over to the visuals. So as I mentioned before, with the armor, it's nothing special. You cannot rely on the armor whatsoever. It's just green. Anything will pen you. This is against the normal G-Saw itself. Anything will pen you here. You gotta be careful if you aim too low on the lower plate, you'll just ricochet. The tires will just fully absorb any damage, so there's no damage whatsoever on the tires. Same with the cupola. So if you're aiming up here, just be wary of these things here. You will not do any damage whatsoever to them. So even side scraping, gun depression. Make sure you don't aim for the other glacis. But if this thing is hulled down to you, just aim for the turret. You'll just go through like butter. Even the gun mantling. So as I said before, this tank is better off just shooting, falling back, shooting, falling back. There is not much to it. This tank has 3 crew members, so it has a commander, gunner, and a driver. So there will be a lot of stress on the commander, on all 3 of these. Tongue twisted. On all 3 of these crew members. So I think the commander will be the radio operator. No, that's not going to show me. But yeah, there it is. So it's going to be also, the commander's going to be also be the radio operator and the loader. The gunner's going to be the gunner and additional duties loader. The driver is just mobility. So there is actually a lot of stress on that commander. So that's where you need a situational awareness and stuff like that. Especially like you can't, like with a decent crew, I reckon you can be able to easily outspot your enemies without coded optics and stuff like that. Keep the enemies at your distance and just use that gun, that 105mm gun of yours. The view range, be able to spot for yourself. Just spot, fall back, shoot, go back forward into the bush, spot for yourself. Just bear in mind, if you've got to run away, do give yourself some time to actually really get away. Alright guys, well that's the tank review. I hope you like this video. Hopefully you like what you see of the tank. If not, please let me know down in the description below, in the comments below. I'd like to actually know your thoughts on this tank. And I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks for watching again. Peace out.